It's not the first time Brad's heard that.
Oh, for fuck's sake. No one's ever Brad, you're hung in my life.
Apart from a judge.
It's normally like, yeah.
Hi guys, welcome to, I think this will be episode 4 of the PewHub podcast. I think we've pretty much decided we're going to go with PewHub podcast, haven't we, Mike?
Unless someone's got a better idea.
Yeah. So, as always, you're here with me, Rob, and of course, the font of wisdom, light of my life, Mike. Say hi.
Hi.
And today we are joined by a special guest, a friend of the podcast, and a friend of PewHub in general, really. Brad Scott, former UFC fighter and a current Airsoft player. Say hello.
How you doing, guys? Glad to be on the channel. Well, podcast, sorry. Didn't mean to be a bit of a retard there, but we're on it like a carb on it. Let's see how we get on today, boys.
Yes.
Okay, so the discussion for today, we thought, obviously, like carrying on from our Airsoft series, like getting started in Airsoft and stuff like that, we're moving on to unsportsmanlike conduct and overkill. So, Mike, you want to stimulate the conversation?
Yeah, I kind of want to start with continuing. The last 3 episodes have been very much centred around getting new people into Airsoft, building our hobby. And this is one of those things that overkill and basically acting like a dick will only drive people away. If you turn up to your first game and you're being mag dumped every 5 seconds, if you're being shot on your way back to a spawn and you're doing everything right, you're probably not going to come back. And if you've got that guy shooting in your general direction, not hitting you, screaming and shouting at you for not taking a hit, are you going to come back into that situation? You know, pay to put yourself into that situation. I've run CQB sites, and you get a real problem with people being extremely jumpy and just shooting dead players. On the flip side, I think if you are out of the game for any reason, you have a responsibility to let people know. We know that when you're dead, you have a hand in the air and you scream dead player as you're moving around. If you're in CQB, it's more important that you announce yourself. So on the flip side, if you look like a live player, you're going to be treated like a live player. So it is something that needs to be looked at. I think the Airsoft community as a whole needs a hardened resolution to it, which I think is there in putting your hand in the air, shouting dead player, and possibly dead rags. What do you think, Brad?
Dead rags? What's that?
You get it in a lot of Milsim games, and they use it a lot in America. So it's basically a red piece of material you have in your pocket, and when you're dead,
you're dead.
Yeah, you put it on. It's a visual signal to everyone.
Put it on your head.
I can understand if you're carrying a heavy support weapon, you may not want to do that one-handed. You may want 2 hands on it. So you put a dead rag on. Some I've seen some American Milsims where the dead rag's a barrel sock, and you actually put it on the end of your muzzle, and then everyone sees the end of your weapon's got a red rag on, and it means you're not in the game.
So I look at this 2 ways, right? I've been the prick that does the mag dumping, and I've been the prick that gets shot by someone mag dumping. I don't think it's a good idea. I think it's bad. People that have just started the sport are scared. Most of them, if you actually look at it, they're going there for the adrenaline rush. They're scared of being hit in the first place. Mike, yourself, people that go there for the first time, some people say hit before they even hit because they're so worried about the next beat hitting them. So if you scare away these players before they've even had a chance to start playing, they ain't going to come back. Yeah. That means you're taking away, say, 5 players each week. 5 players when you've only got 20 players in the first place. As you know, I'm trying to do the maths, 25%, you're on 25%. That's a lot of players. That could change games. Those extra 5 players could change games. And they will leave if you don't just, fucking hell, don't be a cunt. You know what I mean?
I've been playing Airsoft nearly 20 years. And it was about 18 months, 2 years ago, I was at a game. I'm not going to name the site. But one of the marshals was playing, and we were an under-18 event, so it was aimed at under-18s, but they let adults go along. And I was in a dark room, and the guy walked forward, pre-firing round the corner, and I shouted hit, and he kept pulling the trigger because he was in that mindset. And I must have taken 8 or 9 shots into my forearm at point-blank range. I mean less than 2 meters, and I had blood pouring down my arm. because he was using heavyweight BB, and this was a marshal, and I left the site. I packed my kit and left because we hear people say, well, airsoft, there is pain in airsoft, and you have to put up with it. Yeah, and that's right. But you're a UFC, you're a cage fighter. You do MMA, which is about, you have to expect to get hurt when you go into a ring, don't you? But there are still rules. There are still rules. And the thing is, of airsoft, we need those same rules. And when we went to Liverpool to see you fight, chatting to some of the fighters there, they were telling us about how the knockout bonus was brought in because people weren't knocking each other out because of how long you can't fight afterwards. And there's kind of a professional courtesy where, although you're trying to hurt each other, you don't necessarily want to put that person out of action for good because they've got bills to pay. So even in these kind of circles, there's a little bit of courtesy, and yet we're there shooting toy guns at each other, and you've got these idiots that just want to cause pain, and that's all it's about. Overkill, shooting dead players is simply about hurting people. It's about nothing more.
Well, not only that, I got paid for what I done. Airsoft is a pain to play the game. They don't want to be shot just for the sake of being fucking shot. Sorry if I swore again, I won't do it again. Is a little bit different. I mean, I understand, like, you always get the odd sick bugger that goes out there and he's like, oh God, you know what? He's got his hand up. I haven't shot a single person so far. I'm going to take him out. Zip, 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 zip. And like you said earlier, like, yeah, I understand. I've got a high pain threshold. Right? I understand that. I'm a professional athlete. Well, I was a professional athlete. I got hit a lot for a living, and it still hurt. So imagine what the average person is feeling, especially if they're, like you said, that when you went to an under-18s game, kids don't want to get shot at. Like, I understand the fear's there, it's the adrenaline rush for them. If they get hit, most kids I've seen get hit, they don't cheat, they put their hands up pretty quick. So you don't need to mag dump them just because, you feel like it. I didn't like people that pulled it. So when you've had it yourself, you come around a corner and someone goes, bum, 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 and fires about 6 rounds and well, the first round I put my hands up.
Yeah.
I mean, as long as you're honest, this sport's brilliant. It's just you get the odd prick that ruins it for everyone.
And the key thing is the odd person, isn't it? It's not everyone. And I think, the real discussion is preemptive fire as you walk around a corner. Is it blind fire? Because although you're aiming your weapon and you're walking around pulling the trigger, not actually paying attention to what you're shooting at, and you could walk around and lamp someone in the side of the head at point blank range. And this is how it gets physical. Things happen. At Spartan Airsoft, while I was marshalling, someone accidentally shot me in the arse at near point blank range. Mm-hmm. And don't get me wrong, that hurt. It hurt a lot. But it was an accident, and the guy was really apologetic. Didn't offer to kiss it better or anything, but he was really apologetic. But there's not, it was an accident. If it had done it on purpose, he would have been off. He would have been going home. It's as simple as that.
Like, do you say when he could sort of explain this?
He was brand new. No, he was a brand new player waiting for a game to start. It was his first ever game of airsoft. He had a rental gun, and his hand knocked the trigger.
Was he scared? That's why he came in the corner.
No, the game hadn't started. They were waiting to start.
He
was grabbing his rifle. It was a total accident. It wasn't. If you're a marshal, you've got to expect to be shot. It happens. There's no point getting upset about it. It's going to happen. In fact, I genuinely believe if as long as they're not aiming at you, shooting marshals. If you're a marshal and you get shot, you probably stood in the wrong place, and you can't get too upset about it. If it's done on purpose, I do. If someone's knows I'm a marshal and they're aiming at me, it's a dick move. I'm not in the game. They're not achieving anything by doing that. And some people disagree with me, but they're wrong at the end of the day because that's the rules of the site. You shoot live players. You shoot people that are in game. You don't shoot people that aren't in game.
Which makes sure you're safe.
But also, the people that aren't in game include photographers. It includes dead players, because once you're dead, you're out. You're not in the game. We also have the rule dead players don't talk, because that player is not a part of the game anymore. They cease to be involved in the scenario, and they should be left alone. When you're in the game, you'll know about adrenaline. Your adrenaline is running, so it doesn't hurt as much when you're not in the game, your adrenaline is not running the same and it hurts a lot more.
I agree with that. I remember I almost got in a fight once at your site with Team Alpha.
Oh, yeah.
Because they shot me near around the corner and I put my hand up. And I thought, I'm not going to say hit and give the position away. As I walked past, that's it, you fucking prick, don't put your hand up. I was like, what the fuck? I was savage, I wanted to rip faces off, but
you did.
I wanted to, but I didn't.
Yeah.
Big difference between hitting someone and not hitting someone. One's GBH with intent, one is just swearing at someone, Section 5. A massive difference.
Yeah, what is it? One's a warning from the police, the other's prison.
Well, one's 10 years, potentially life. Do you know what? GBH with intent actually carries the maximum sentence of life. Do you know that?
Yeah.
I did not do that till the other day for reasons I can't disclose on camera. But I'm not because of me, but it's a friend. But GBH of intent can come up to you can't but it comes up, believe it or not, you can actually get life for GBH of intent, which I can understand why. I mean, if I went up to someone with a baseball bat and smashed around the face, I could also be attempted murder. So I've not done that, and I never would do that. But I just get out of the way before people start fucking editing parts of the video and trying to make me like a cunt or anything like that. So I have to go a little bit careful what I say.
Well, that was death.
Thank you for that disclaimer, mate.
What should you right? So anyway, another question for you. So, Mike, what should we do with people that go in there and mag dump at every opportunity they get?
I mean, there's two schools of thought on this one. There's what a lot of players say, mag dump them. No, you don't do that because they're going to keep doing it. They're not actually going to really learn anything. If a site says no mag dumping and someone's mag dumping, they go through. Most sites have some form of disciplinary, so it's normally a 3 strikes and you're out, and that needs to be fought. Personally, I don't believe in 3 strikes, especially for cheating. I don't believe in it because if you're a cheat, you're going to cheat the maximum amount of times you can get away with. If you catch on, it's blatant. Now, absolutely, there's a difference between. If you believe someone probably didn't notice they were getting hit, which does happen, it can glance off tack gear or what have you. But if you can see someone flinching and they know that BB hit them, they're going to cheat a second time. They're going to cheat a third time. They're going to cheat a fourth time and a fifth time. So the only way to deal with these people is to remove them from sight, not necessarily permanently. It could be right. Okay, you're not coming back for a month. Go away. You know, because actually if sites started doing this, these people would either have to find a new hobby or adjust their behaviour. It's the only way to deal with them. Like I said, mag dumping them back, all you do is inflame the situation. Because if a player does it, you inflame the situation. They're going to load another mag and they're going to fire back at you. And then you're going to end up in the car park, having, ring assault, 2 men enter, 1 man leave sort of situation. The site needs to deal with it. It needs to be dealt with by the marshals. You need strong marshals who say enough is enough, pack your kit and get off. And that goes for any form of cheating. That goes for any major infringement of the rules. Blind firing is the same. The difference with blind firing, again, you have to look at the player. If it's a total new player, screaming and shouting them for blind fire is the wrong thing to do. Because they probably don't know that they're caught up in the moment. They're new, it's exciting, their adrenaline's running, they're not really thinking. And a lot of us done it when we were new. And someone pulled us aside and went, actually, you shouldn't do that. You need to be looking on your site to stop it. If it's an experienced player, there's no excuses because they've been playing long enough for the actual real excitement of that first game not to be there. And I'm speaking more from a CQB background, where blind fire is more of an issue because it's a hell of a lot more cover and you're a lot closer to each other. I do believe also people don't, as we established in the last episode, people don't pay to be screamed at. I'm not against shouting at someone if they're. Sometimes it's the only way to get through to someone. If they've taken a face mask off, as I said last week, you don't say, excuse me, sir, would you awfully mind reapplying your eye protection correctly? You shout, oi, knob chops, put your eye pro on. Because they'll listen and they'll respond better. And then you can go up to them after and have a proper conversation. But, yeah, I mean, as to how to deal with it, the only way, long term, the sites have got to make their own rulings. But in my opinion, the only way to deal with it is to remove them from site. You can warn them once. I wouldn't go past one warning, ever.
I think blind fighting is pretty much inexcusable if it's done deliberately.
If it's done,
So
yeah.
dangerous, it's fucking
No,
idiotic.
And you're right, but it's establishing an experienced marshal can tell if it's done deliberately when you talk to the player. So if it's someone with a rental gun who's brand new, it's probably just it's the excitement they've forgotten. It's that, you know, a first game. I think you need to give a little bit of leeway and guidance rather than bollockins. You need to pull that person again, because if it is genuine and that's your first game, you're not coming back if someone's been screaming in your face. And at the end of the day, airsoft sites are businesses. We see people comment about that on Facebook, like it's they've just worked it out. They are businesses, but the only way airsoft sites are going to continue to go is if they've got paying customers going and making them worthwhile. And the only way airsoft is going to grow, and we're going to have more sites, and sites are going to get better and invest, is if we have more people playing. Because eventually we're going to get too old. I'm 40 next year. There's going to be a point, I know, I'm going to be too old to do this. I feel it now. I am like Murtaugh from Lethal Weapon. I am too old for this shit.
Which one's Murtaugh?
The Danny Glover.
Oh, mate. The one who does that.
Yeah, that's the one.
You fucking hero.
You know, so essentially, if we don't take on new people, the airsoft community will die out through natural wastage, people getting too old. So we need new people coming in. Now, we have people, we can have people scream snowflake all they like. It doesn't matter. If we're going to scream snowflake at everyone who doesn't want to be shot, who doesn't want to be overkilled, we're just not going to grow. We're not going to go anywhere. The events we go to are not going to get bigger. They're not going to be better. The sites we've got are just not going to want to have the investment to go in. Things are going to start dwindling. So we really need to look at how we treat new players. But with that, and I know I am going to go there. I wasn't going to. I'm 100% going to go there. It doesn't mean we have to mollycoddle and pander to people, because you can create monsters by going too far, which the airsoft community has done, and they've started to realise it. So someone released a video recently, and I've agreed with about 99% of it about how we need to look after new airsofters, but I don't believe yes is always the answer. I just do not believe it. Yes is not always the right answer. Sometimes you have to say no. Sometimes if someone says, is my gun any good? Sometimes you've got to find a diplomatic way of saying, no, it's not. It will do you for a little bit, but you might want to look at getting something a little bit more up to the task. There is nothing wrong with that. And with new players, the guy that got bullied because he bought a load of what looked like market stall two-tone stuff, and he got bullied, and then there was a crowdfunder to raise a child to buy guns for a child that hadn't had a game of airsoft yet. And then people are shocked when he's started a YouTube channel and he's filmed himself on the roof of his house and peering down the barrel of guns, and they're shocked by this. But this is someone who hasn't been to games yet, hasn't had the guiding hand a lot of us had when we started. Has just been given quite a lot of stuff, and it was one of these things where it was done for the best of intentions, but actually what they'd have been probably better off doing was buying a fucking second-hand two-tone off someone, cheap, just so he's got something maybe a little bit better, and apologising for people being dicks to him. But it's one of those things, we went from one extreme to the other, and I know it's going to. I don't think it is that off topic. It's about how we treat people coming into airsoft. Which I think segues us into one of my pet peeves of headshots, and it's such a toxic subject that we're probably going to get hate for discussing it, but I'm not against headshots. I think headshots are fine as long as that's all you can see. If you can see the whole of someone's body, why are you aiming at the bit that hurts the most? Unless all you want to do is cause pain. But that's not to say I think headshots should be banned. I think headshots should always be a last resort thing. Because you can't stop people getting shot in the head for the best will in the world. Yes, just for the best will in the world, you cannot stop airsofters. You cannot stop airsofters from being shot in the head. It's just not practical. What do you do? Because you're going to have stray BBs. believe it or not, airsoft guns are not as accurate as the real thing. You get a little bit of wind and the BB flies off in a random direction, clocks on in the head, you're not then going to scream and shout at that person. But when you've got people who that's all they do, all they want to do is headshots, and they don't care whether it's point blank range from quite a distance, that is just about hurting people. That is not about playing the game anymore. That is not about achieving any objectives other than causing pain, and that's what I have an issue with. Again, it's coming from CQB. It's because I'm predominantly in the CQB environment where you're closer and it hurts more.
It kills, actually. I walked around the corner once and there was a really young kid, and he was actually on my team. I'd just been hit. So I walked through the doorway. It was a Bristol top floor, going back towards the stairs. I come in the corner and he shot me just under the eye. See, the words I shouted out are not going to... Well, I've already fucking swore 1,000 times. But I was like, fucking gun, like that, you know. It actually really hurts. But I actually agree with what Mike said. If someone's coming towards you, why not aim centre mass? It's actually harder to aim for the head than it is the body. So why not just aim for the body? And not only that, if most people wear, like, they wear the vests. I can honestly see Mike, like, he's right there for me, like. So, you know, what I don't understand, if you can see the body, just aim for it. They can feel it. There's none of this, oh, they can't feel it through armor. Yes, you can. You can hear it, you can feel it. You feel the vibration and you can hear it. I understand if you're 60 yards away, but in CQB, so say I was playing against Mike now, right? He comes down the corner. It is harder for me to aim for Mike's head than it is his chest. Why not just aim for the chest? He doesn't get hurt. He doesn't get upset. And by the way, when you get shot in the face, you get upset. I don't care who you are. It hurts. You get hit in the face. It hurts. It makes you think, do you know what? I'm going to shoot him in the face. And you end up all getting in this, like you said earlier, you said about the mag dumping. Yeah. You're right. If someone mag dumped me, I want to mag dump them back. But that's the wrong thing to do. Tell them to fuck off. Or say, do it again, you're gone. That's it. Same as what you said about the cheating as well. I actually agree with Mike on the cheating aspect. If you cheat once and you say, well, you got one last chance, you'll take that last chance and then go, oh, one more. And hopefully that you'll bow down. And then all of a sudden, you've had 2 goes at cheating. No, fuck off. Don't ruin the game for everyone else. We've all paid money to play this game. Don't ruin it for us.
And I think that's the key thing. We know, as I said, the headshot thing is massively controversial because there's a lot of people who think you're a snowflake if you don't want to be shot in the head. Now, again, I do think of it at the extremes. I'm not, you know, I don't do many games where I'm going to get shot from a sniper from 60 metres away, where, yes, it's going to hurt less. I've been shot point blank range in the temple, and I've had to go and sit down. I've had to go and sit out. My eyes have been watering. I've had a headache, and I felt physically sick. That's how intense the pain can be from some headshots if someone gets you, especially with some of the kit now. And with the fact that I can remember when you had the first real trigger board MOSFETs come out, and my God, they were a nightmare because you suddenly had most CQB sites have a no full auto rule. For if you've ever been full auto at close range, you will understand why there are rules in place.
It's like getting hit by a whip because it's just you get hit. It feels like you get hit once. But if you look at my leg, you get hit once, but the pain goes all the way up to there. Because what's the rule at Bristol? What was your rule at Bristol Airsoft Bike? How many shots per second was it?
I don't think we had one. It was a case of the marshals would make a judgment. No, the marshals would make a judgment.
So like 24 shots a second.
Something like that. I mean, the key thing is you didn't need 24 shots to take someone out. You need 1 or 2. But all of a sudden with the trigger ball MOSFET. It was a mechanical trigger an electronic trigger rather than a mechanical trigger. And you suddenly had AEGs capable of firing quicker in single shot than if you put it on auto. And with some of the HPA kits now, you can tune them up to be worse. You can actually have them, it looks like a piece of string coming at the end.
Jeez.
And I don't know why people need that. I don't get it. I mean, I get in CQB having the ability, the quicker reset rate, meaning you can get that second shot off quicker. Having a feather trigger, so you're firing seconds before someone else, can be an advantage if you care about that. But when you get someone drop a finger, so they're not using a trigger finger, they're using one blade, so they can tickle the trigger, and get a higher rate of fire than they would if they're on auto, to me, that is firing on auto.
Do you reckon it's dick measuring?
Yeah.
Do you reckon people are doing that? Say, look, because I've seen someone it's on YouTube. I can't remember who it was. It's a famous YouTuber, and they go, "Oh, hey, man, you're not allowed full auto. You're not allowed full auto." Because it wasn't. He turns his gun, his airsoft gun, to the side, and he fires, and it was literally, like you said, silly string. Went, you didn't even hear the individual. You just, and you just saw this silly string of guns of BBs come out. If that hit someone, let's say it was a kid, imagine if that was in your face, and they held it for a half second, and that's 20 BBs. That's going to do actual. And by the way, BBs, I've seen, there's a guy at your place in Bristol. He actually had scars on his tattoos all up his arm. Because BBs, I understand it's a little plastic ball, but it's firing at 350 feet per second, up to 500 if it's a sniper rifle, marksman rifle, or 400 if it's a designated marksman, DMR.
Yeah.
Right? Mate, they hurt. It's not like, I don't want to damage my tattoos.
And especially when you put heavyweight BBs in and actually increase the kinetic energy, that hurts. And yes, it hits you slower, but it's a heavier object hitting you. And I could throw a tennis ball at you and it's going to hurt a bit, but if I drive my car at you at a bit of a slower speed, it's probably going to hurt you a bit more.
You're hitting me at 20 miles an hour in your car is going to be worse than 50 miles an hour of a baseball. That's what
Tennis ball.
Baseball would be pretty thingy. Like, come on, let me with the car. Come at me with the car.
I actually think that's an experiment for a future podcast.
Rob looks like the man that needs to be hit by a 50 mile an hour baseball and then a 30 mile an hour car. That's
different directions though.
Rob's looking, he's like, I can take that.
That's because after the amount you've been beaten around the ring, you've got a face that looks like you already have been.
My brother, look at him.
I obviously meant beaten around the ring, talking about your fighting career.
He meant beaten off, that's what he meant. All the hand jobs I've had off men. In the ring, anything to do with ring, you say cage, they even mention ring at the moment. It's not the kind of guy I am. There's nothing wrong with that, I'm just saying I'm not going to go. Anyway, back to
Airsoft.
Look what Mike got me today.
That is the Agency Arms EXA to Block 17 with the licensed Agency Arms slide and a licensed Timberwolf lower, currently on offer at £155 from us.
Right.
Let us know if you want one. They are really good. That's probably not the cleverest thing. Really nice. If you want any more information, drop us a line and we can certainly get that to you. But I mean, there's loads of unsportsmanlike behaviour. Kind of the power players, the people that will walk around going, I hit everyone. You didn't, did you? You're not a sniper. You're not actually a marksman. You're not in SEAL Team 6. You probably missed a few shots and you're not firing.
I've actually trained with SEAL Team 7. For real. That's not a lie. I've actually, honestly, Rob, I promise you, when I was in Arizona, SEAL Team 7...
Drop me phone.
Not the whole of SEAL Team 7, but I was at the MMA lab in Arizona, SEAL Team 7. Some of them turned out and they took us out doing dry paintballing, which is basically airsoft with much bigger, much harder, much nastier balls. balls. And then they showed dry balls. Wow. Just say paintballing. So we went paintballing with dry paintballing with dry balls. And they showed us some rudimentary drills now. And then we played against them afterwards. Needless to say, it's true. If you practice to do something, you become good at it. We got fucked up. Not so good, man. Not so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, but thank you for the confidence there, Michael. Yeah.
But
you got fucked up.
So the power play, it's ridiculous. It's people almost bullying you into taking a hit that you didn't get, trying to bully marshals into enforcing what they think's happened. And do you know what? I used to get really upset about people not taking hits, right? And I just let it go over my head. But I do get annoyed with the power players. They do wind me up because I actually had someone when I was at Bristol Airsoft. I jumped into a game because we used to randomly, marshals would jump into games to help make up numbers. But also, so we played the site and knew the games and played alongside the players, and it worked really well. And I had a player jump round a corner, open fire on me. I'm stood there, in a corridor, no cover. He was about 1.5 meters away from me. There was no way on earth he would have missed me, but nothing hit me. It was, to me, in my mind, it was like that scene in Pulp Fiction where Samuel Jackson and John Travolta get shot at and there's like a ring of bullets around them. That's how it felt in my mind. And he started screaming and shouting, not even the fucking marshals here take their hits. You're all a bunch of fucking cheats. And then I was like, mate, look at your gun. We're 10 minutes into the game. He didn't have the mag on. But he was going around shouting at people. And because he was shouting at people and there was children playing, they were calling their hits because he was shouting so much. So I was like, he must have hit me. But he didn't. He couldn't have. He didn't have a mag on his gun. And he actually got really embarrassed and kind of played another game and then made his excuses and left.
I would have left on the spot. I couldn't have ever played in Bristol ever.
He didn't need to. I mean, the thing is, he didn't need to be punished because I believe in a thing called natural justice, and he looked like such an arsehole. That was the natural justice. That, everyone was laughing at him, and I think he left because the next game there was a 13-year-old kid stopped the brief to look at him and go, "Have you got your mag on?" And I think that was probably the bit that done it, being burned by a 13-year-old.
I'll tell you what, I got one for you, mate. Yeah, so there was one time when I was at Bristol Airsoft, and we were both teams start downstairs. We each got an equally large-sized or medium-sized, small-sized set of stairs to climb up. Now, I was a professional athlete at the time. I was pretty quick. I'm not saying I was fucking Linford Christie, but I was pretty nippy. I ran up my side of the stairs. As I got to the top of my stairs, someone had already ran up their stairs 30 metres across the room and shot me in the chest. And I thought to myself, well, I heard the radio call, because at Bristol was actually really, well, not kissing his ass, Mike done a pretty good job. I hate fucking doing that. Fuck Mike. But he did a pretty good job, and he was pretty fair. But so I know for a fact that the radio was called through. He said, game on, game on. Is that
game
right?
On, yeah.
Game on, game on, game on. I got up there and I was shocked before I got to the top of the stairs. Now, I'm telling you now, fucking Usain Bolt couldn't have got to the top of the stairs as quick as this fucker did. And he really fucking boom, boom. I was like, how the fuck do you get here so quick? It's just impossible. Yeah, further to go than I did to get in the middle of the fucking game. Because it wasn't actually technically in the middle. But he had further to go. So I knew straight away there was something. And people like that really, really had me off. That is vermin. They're trying to get I understand it. Like Mike said, it is a competitive sport.
It's not a sport. People make
sport?
No.
Oh, well, you say it's not competitive, but I fucking argue with that.
People make it competitive.
Oh yeah.
It's not like it's
That's what I meant. That's what I meant. Sorry. It is. I was very competitive at Airsoft. I hated losing, but I didn't cheat. And when I got accused of cheating, I went to Warminster Airsoft once, and it was this massive lanky guy with grey hair. He's a prick. He accused me of cheating once, right? He was shooting. He was missing me by 10 yards. He was like, he was blind as a fucking bat. Like, he was clicking to see if he can get near me or not. Missing by miles. I actually had what's that? VSR, Tokyo Brewery VSR 10.
Which is G-Spec, you had, wasn't it?
Yeah, G-Spec. I had it sent off. I had it all tuned up, all this shit. I shot him. The only thing I could see was his face. I missed 5 fucking times. Ended up shooting him in the face. He throws a hissy fit. Turns out he's a regular player. And the marshals got quite shitty at me. So I unpolitely told the marshal where to go for accusing me of cheating. He didn't even listen to what I had to say. He just come at me. He's like, yeah, you were cheating. I said, look, listen here, country. Listen here, mate. You don't accuse me of cheating. You got no proof. He was missing by miles, and I hit him. That's it. There was no arguing about it. I can't stand cheat. Cheats ruin it. If there was no cheats in Airsoft, it'd be one of the best games ever. Well, it is one of the best games ever. Well, might back me up. It's one of the best games ever, right? It's like
that and Call of Duty.
No, it's like Call of Duty, but more real. Zombies is a good thing. It's like Call of Duty, but you actually get to shoot players, and you're not pointing the joystick. You're actually doing exercise. You're jumping around doing exercise, and it's fun. Like, what more can you ask for? Fun exercise. my exercise was fun to start off with, then it became about money. It wasn't so fun after that when you realise that the guys were also trained to punch you back in the face. When you're doing airsoft, is there pro airsoft players?
There's a couple of sponsored players, but not really pro airsoft players.
Not 100% pro.
In the UK, it's totally different. We don't. I mean, you could argue people like Kelly Hardwick.
The woman is quite sexy.
Yeah,
I find one. She's nice, very much.
She's my mate, leave her alone.
What about Novrich?
I'm talking in terms of the UK community. There is and there isn't. There's YouTubers, but it's whether they consider themselves professional airsofters. Because I know Kelly doesn't just cover airsoft; she does lots of other stuff as well. Around, I'm pretty sure I know she was at one point writing for a PMC magazine and things like this. So it's whether they private military contractor.
Second.
Private military contractor. She was doing kit reviews and stuff like that.
Oh, was she?
I mean, to be honest, she's also done a hell of a lot in terms of women in airsoft. There wasn't really anyone talking about a kit for women because they've got different equipment than us, haven't they? So tack vests and stuff, clothing.
It's funny you say that. I watched a video this morning on.
You did.
Fuck's sake! You just can't let me get fucked. You pervert, Brad. You pervert. Yeah. Come at you with the claws. No, I watched a video this morning, and it was about how the military uniform in America is sexist because it doesn't actually fit the women correctly. They've had to change the trousers, change the like you said, the tack vests and stuff. So are you saying that is true? They don't have kit that fits them correctly.
And the women's bodies are different, and I mean this is where she gets knocked a lot, but I think a lot of it is really unfair because she has done a lot for women in airsoft. But that's kind of a side. And I actually really, with some events recently, I really want to revisit that and I put in another podcast and try and get kind of a woman in airsoft on because some of the treatment of women in airsoft is quite frankly just disgusting. And I think it needs to be
from Bristol, like you said.
Yeah,
you introduced me to her there. South African guy's girlfriend.
Yeah, well, we can have a chat about it off this. But there was a young lady done a screenshot of some of the messages she gets off players, and quite frankly, some people need to give their head a wobble quite quickly because again, it's not encouraging. But going back to kind of people cheating, kind of one thing that really winds me up is people going out of bounds to get an advantage. It's really difficult to do when you're playing CQB because you've got walls.
It's impossible.
Like at the college in Chippenham, if you want to go out of bounds, you're out on the street and the police are probably going to have a word with you. But I know I've been to outdoor sites, where someone comes in from an out of bounds area. You're like, what are you doing, mate? The fuck are you doing? And there's accusations about relatively famous airsofters doing the same, and it's just
Novrich. That was one he got done to that.
There was someone else as well that we were talking about earlier, who's quite famously done it. So
I know you're on about.
Yeah, it's not good, and these are all little things that just why. And people that do this knowingly, I mean, it's quite easy in some sites because I've been to sites where the out of bounds is marked by tape on every fifth tree, and it's really easy to be at tree number 3 and walk past it. Because you're not necessarily looking for tape on a tree. But when you get regulars who know what they're doing, that's where it starts taking a piss, really taking a piss. I mean, I was at a site and I accidentally went out of bounds. Marshall said, "You're out of bounds." I apologised, called myself dead, went and respawned and come back in because I think that's the correct thing to do.
That's actually quite manly. You call yourself dead. I would have just walked back on site.
But it was also genuine. And we come into sportsmanlike behaviour. The game is about honesty and honour. The only way people know if you've been hit is if you are honest enough to call it. In theory, obviously people can still say it. No, we say it's a game of honesty and honour, and we have people that do not act honourably and do not act honestly. And sometimes honour is chivalry, and sometimes with chivalry it's not about causing excess pain and suffering to someone just for your enjoyment, which is what essentially we've been talking about. And that's essentially the issue we've been discussing, is people causing excess pain and misery to another human being to put a smile on their face. And
that's kind of sick, by the way.
It's kind of sick. It's a form of bullying. and I'm probably going to get hate for this, and I really don't care.
I don't understand why you get hate for it.
Because there are a lot of people that think headshots are part of the game. Honestly, go onto one of the Airsoft Facebook groups and put, I think headshots are bad, and just see how quickly you get abuse.
They're inevitable. They're going to happen. Like, I'm not going to say his name because we said we crap to say his name earlier. I watched a whole video of this fucking backwards cunt fucking shooting people in the face deliberately. Why? If he'd done that to me and I saw the video of myself afterwards, I would also give him my own headshot. The left hook, and then I hit him in the body again, and I'd smash up his guns. And you don't have to be a dick all the time, but then to call someone who's one of the people who shot, he looked a bit of a flange, so he shot this guy in the face, and then he's got the audacity to go, oh, what a snowflake. He just shot him in the face with a 500 FPS fucking airsoft gun. If you come up to me in the street and do that, I'd be doing 10 to 25 years in prison. For manslaughter. Well, not manslaughter, but no.
Rob, I'm really interested to hear your thoughts, to be honest, because you
haven't spoke once yet. Cough up.
What about headshots?
And just in general, what we've been discussing.
Well, personally, it was just like the vast majority. Well, the games that I have played have been mainly on open fields and outdoor sites, and I think headshots in that are a lot more prevalent and just part of the game. That's why people, when there's like the majority of people, if they go to like a mid-sized outdoor area, you're usually going to wear a helmet. Most people would, or a cap or something, just to kind of protect the top of your head. Just because it's like,
yeah, I use my natural protection, which are my eyelids.
Yeah.
Blink time to stop the shot.
Can we have a thing come up on the screen there saying this is satire while we're saying that?
It'll have to be, yeah. I'll have to.
For the idiots, I don't really walk around with my hand in front of my face like that. Okay.
Do you know what?
I've seen someone use a sheet of paper.
Do you know what? Until I started YouTube myself, I didn't realise how many fucking idiots were out there.
Yeah.
Probably a disclaimer saying, look, we're taking the piss, and if you're American, we're taking the biscuit. We didn't actually walk around with our bare eyes open. And
if you don't realise there's idiots, be a doorman, you become a cunt magnet.
Cunt magnet? Fucking hell. What sexy doorman with his...
Not that kind.
Oh, I thought you were on about like a doorman that, yeah.
No, I'm talking about all the idiots.
I thought you were on about some minge you got.
No. I'm talking about the dregs of society that want to be your best friend.
Butt sniffers.
Mm. But yeah, I mean, Rob, you're right. I mean, headshots are a part of the game, and I don't want them banned. I think it's impractical to ban them because they will happen.
It'd be impossible.
It's about aiming at the head when you don't need to.
Yeah,
that's what it's about. And do you know what I mean? If I'm shooting someone in a plate carrier and they're not taking it, I'm going to go for fleshy parts and then the head. Because you can always go, right, perhaps they don't notice it. And I know Brad's actually quite right, you do. But if you give them benefit of the doubt and say perhaps they don't know, then you shoot them in the leg. Because you can feel it in the leg. Trust me, it's nice and fleshy, you feel it. If they don't take that head, they're not in for the head, but it's a last resort because someone's not taking that hit.
Yeah.
But it certainly shouldn't be a first resort. It shouldn't be, there's someone, I'm going to shoot them in the face.
Especially when they've got a scope, they're sniping, they hit out the way. Like, I'm not going to say his name, there was one video, the guy's there, he's on guard, he's just, look around, away with the fairies, fucking catching fucking whatever, would you catch again? When you're asleep, you're catching spiders off. Catching flies. There we go, not spiders. Spiders catch flies. Catching flies. Looking around, can't see. There's certain guy, he's there watching. He's hitting the bush. There's in like plant bush, not, And then he's there aiming away, and he deliberately aims for his head. There was no need for it. And all these people in the comments below that are wankers saying, why play airsoft? Well, most people have been shot in the face at 30 yards with a 500 FPS gun. Why don't you do shoot for the body? The guy clearly would have took his head. Now, like Mike said, if they're cheating, I understand. If they're not taking their hits, I don't believe they can't feel it at all. I've had a play and I felt every single bit.
You hear it.
You hear it. You're right, mate. You hear it. However, if you're in the absolute zone of the training and you've had like what's that grenade? What they called the fucking grenades you got? They go off the blank fire grenade. A blank fire grenade goes off. Bang. Oh, you're a little bit dazed. All of a sudden you get hit. Then I understand. Just aim for his chest again. You haven't got to go for the face. I've hit people in the face, 100%. When they look round corners with their gun, look round corners.
That's all you can see, and that's
all I can see. So I aim for the face. That's tough shit. Did you accept gun hits in Bristol, or was that a deflection? Because you warned us, a gun hit didn't count.
The rule changed a few times. So when I started there, weapon hits didn't count. Then we had a real problem of people but you had to shout weapon. So people knew, because you get a lot of people doing CQB dressed in black. Their weapon's black. If the weapon's in front of them from a distance, you can't see it's a weapon. You think you shoot them in the chest, so they shouted weapon. Then we had a problem with a group of people just shouting weapon when any BB hit them. So we trialled including weapon hits, and actually it was quite popular. Most players didn't mind. They got it. And it kind of changed the way they played a little bit. Because I've played games where if your primary weapon gets hit, you've got to sling it and draw a pistol.
That's a clever idea.
That's more a milsim thing, but I have done that. I don't think it's practical at a skirmish, but it definitely works at milsim. People that really want to get into it and play hardcore. As for whether weapon hits count, that really is it's a site decision. I don't think there's necessarily a right and wrong. It's what works for the site.
What do you think should be done?
Personally, I don't think weapon hit shouldn't count. However, sometimes you impose rules not based on what you personally feel, but for the same reason most health and safety rules are there, because someone's been a dick. And if you've got a real problem with people saying it's a weapon hit to cheat, then you go, okay, we'll remove the weapon it's not being a kill rule, and we'll make it kill you. And that's the way you deal with them. You kind of take away their little bit of their little cheat. Personally, I think weapon hits shouldn't count. But I mean, one of the great things is with the fact that lots of sites do it very differently. Is if you play at a site and you don't like that rule, you go to a site where you do like the rule, because the people that like it will, people will go. This is what I said last week, kind of finding your local site is like finding a decent local pub. You will go to a load and you won't like it because you'll have a perfectly good day, but there was little niggly things that you didn't like, but other people do, and they're right that they like it. You're right that you don't. Everyone's right because it's opinion. But then you'll go to a site where you just really enjoy it. You really feel at home, and it's like finding your local pub. But I went through that in depth last week on my views on that. But the rules come into that as well, as to how rules are implemented, what rules there are. Because I mean, this is one of the things about why Airsoft isn't a sport. There is no governing body. There is no kind of one set of rules. Every site has a different safety brief. Every site has a slightly, broadly speaking, there are the same rules. But every site has kind of, there are some minor differences, and that's kind of one of the reasons we're not a sport.
I got more for you, Mike. Do you remember at Bristol Airsoft, there was, you have to educate me, I can't remember the game. There was one game where you get shot, you get tagged, you back in.
Yeah.
You know what I'm going to say, right? Because when you could be me against 10 players, tag, shoot, got one. Tag, shoot, got one. And every time I get hit, I just get tagged again. I reckon what they should do is you have to drag that player at least 5 meters away or 2 meters away before he comes back in. That could kill the game, because you've got 10 guys down the bottom of the hallway. But so this is what
the whole idea of those games is it's normally a warm up game. It's normally to get people moving, to get people shooting, to get people who have playing for the first time, to get them to take a few hits.
Exactly what you just said there.
So actually, I totally get what you're saying, and that's if you're looking at it competitively. Which really, a game like that, the first game of the day is normally a site skirmish. Is normally I just go out there and shoot each other, and that's done for a reason. It's done to warm everyone up, to get new players out, acclimatise to the site. New, people who play Airsoft for years but haven't been to that site, they get an opportunity to have wander around. So you want it nice and simple, and just tag someone in, give them a team name, and you form a team. because we've done other versions of it as well, where you get shot and you have to go to a central point where you see a marshal, and you get taped up onto that team or whatever. So there are different ways of running it, but predominantly it is purely about getting people shooting, getting shot, and getting acclimatised to the game a little bit, and getting acclimatised to the site. And it actually also gives, generally speaking, when you're marshalling an event, first game or two, you get a feel for the day. I never used to play the first couple of games, which you might have noticed if you ever saw me jumping for a game. It was always like, because you want to see how it's going before you start playing, to see whether it's safe for you to play or whether you need all your marshals marshalling. You get some days where you don't really need marshals. The game's going to run themselves. The players run themselves. You really need to be there to brief, and that's really be a presence. But it's kind of like touch marshalling. You get other days you've just got to be in there like swimwear. You've got to be on it all the time. And you tend to get a feel for that in these sort of games. You start seeing, right, okay, are people being a pain in the arse? Are they cheating now? And you can deal with the problems. You can also start to look at how people play to help you balance the teams.
Remember when you got accused of cheating, Michael?
I've been.
No, it was when they made you crony your gun again. Remember that? Someone
a woman still, wasn't it?
Was that the G28 story?
In Bristol.
Someone in Bristol said, "Oh, your gun's overpowered. You had to go crony your gun. It was clearly under. You were fucking savage."
It was a brand new out the box TMAG.
Yes,
you struggled to hit 300.
Yeah. You got. What gun was that again?
I think it was my Scorpion Mod M. I think it was.
Oh, that's sick. And I remember you let me have a go. What was your? Okay, there's an old school M16 variant you had once.
Was that the Honey Badger?
You let me borrow it.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure it was an older one.
No, it was Honey Badger.
Was it Honey Badger? Oh, beautiful.
Tan gun on it, and it shot like a... Oh, no, I know the one about. That was, so... This is old school. This is really old school as fuck.
Oh, yeah, it was.
I had one of the first Classic Army M15A4 CQBs in the UK. And it was... Christ. If I still had it now, it would be about 18 years old. And this was probably about 8 years ago. So this thing would have been 10 years old, and I just had it completely redone. And it was an absolute animal. It was an animal. I very rarely let my Honey Badger get... I also had a custom-made Honey Badger before Aries put theirs out. And that was an animal as well. But, yeah.
I've used your Honey Badger.
It's good.
I pretty much used all yours, actually. I've used all
most of them.
Oh, yeah, there we go. I had your 417.
I shouldn't have sold you that.
That's now been converted.
I shouldn't have sold you that.
We used to wish you had a fucking lush, mate. It's fucking huge as well. Brilliant bit of kit. I was going to say something else as well, actually. What were we talking about in terms of rules a minute ago? Before we talked about airsoft guns?
It was kind of... I think it was more people taking the piss around rules, isn't it? I mean, riot shielding, using dead players as cover is just like lower than a snake's belly.
I remember now. Sorry, I remember when I first played airsoft, I'd never been hit by a BB gun before. All the BB guns I've used, you know, the old spring-powered ones, they're basically
the G10.
air rifles. They're basically air rifles.
It's like the G10, wasn't it?
So you shoot pistol. You go through you go into your body. So when I first started playing, I was scared to death. So those games Mike was on about to warm you up were actually quite handy. Because when I first played, I was like, oh shit, I'm going to get shot. What's it feel like? And once you finally get shot, that fear goes away. You're like, oh, I'm not going to die. It's not that bad. And then the game really starts. So those warm-up games are really important. That's what allows you to play properly afterwards. We had a kid come and play one night. And his parents came along and they sat waiting for him. And he got shot for the first time. And he was absolutely fine, loving it, until he saw his mum, and then he burst into tears. Oh, and she gave him a big hug. And then she went to the toilet, and he was fine, stopped crying, he was fine, laughing and joking. She came back out, burst into tears again. How old was it?
He was probably about 14.
Fucking gross.
This story, I will tell another story about a child getting shot. Rob, please make a decision whether we leave this in, but I feel I have to tell it now.
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to think if there's anything else. How long have we gone on for now?
The full recording is just over an hour, but after I've chopped and changed and stuff, it'll probably be about 50 minutes. Really.
I think we've covered most of it.
Yeah. So, shall we wrap it up there then? Well, thank you to everyone that for listening. This has been a bit of a rambly one again, but you know, it's how we like it. It's how we like it. Yeah. Thank you, Brad, for coming along. And obviously, to all of you out there, if you have any questions for any of us, drop them in the comments below, and we'll be sure to either include them or just answer them if we can. Thank you very much, and thanks for listening.
Cheers.